What's up, guys? Welcome to Podcast 412, Fight for Purity. A bold way of looking at challenges that young people are facing. We'll talk about the naked truth of life and how to handle the problems you're thinking but not talking about. So strap in, get ready for another great podcast.
Welcome back. We are going to continue our conversation about walls. And
our conversation.
We're going to start the conversation this time.
Yeah.
We're going to start the conversation about being a wall and what that means.
And we'll have some not so fun facts a little bit later because because of our.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah. Because we usually start off with a fun fact, you guys.
We're going to end with
So we're gonna end
fun
with not
fact.
so fun fact. Well, hopefully we'll end. We might not end with
We'll
a
see.
fun fact. We'll see how far we get. But so we've been talking about being a door, and it goes both ways. We said you can be a guy and be a door, and you can be a girl and be a door. So it's not exclusive to just girls, but it's both. So we wanted to talk a little bit about being a wall. So we figured a good way to start is kind of just to define what a wall is, like an actual wall. So I have a few, but I'm gonna have Lisa, if you can read. Sorry, what? If you can read the actual definition in whatever dictionary you found it in, and then we'll go through a little bit of what we kind of talked about before this. So go ahead, read a.
Well, one definition is a continuous vertical brick or stone structure that encloses or divides an area of land.
Okay. Is there another one?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's that's the noun and a verb, but the verb is basically the exact same thing. Enclose an area within walls, especially to protect or lend it some privacy.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. So, and then kind of the things that, because we were kind of going over this last time that we met, and basically we said a wall was like a barrier that it's meant to protect. It's supposed to be strong and sturdy, okay? So you don't want a weak wall like we have right now in our nation, but but it's meant to keep invaders out. It's also a deterrent from a thief, and it's also you need more than what? Sorry.
Oh, no, you need more than a line
it's
in the
more
dirt.
than a line in the dirt. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's not a wall. Okay. Yeah.
The card. I was thinking about the house of cards that you make.
Yeah.
When you build them up, that's not a wall.
So how you build your wall matters.
And what you build it up.
That matters. So you know the one thing is it's got to be strong, because like you said, a weak wall is not going to keep anybody out, or it's not really going to provide a whole lot of protection or privacy. And I like that idea of privacy. You have a boundary. So, and I, I'm not trying to be political, but even with the border wall, I mean, the biggest things is there's so many people coming across, and they're finding ways to get in, and usually probably where there's not a wall,
A physical wall.
where there's not a physical wall.
There's a break in the wall, or there's something.
Yeah.
And they're getting their information through social media.
Yeah. So
So you see, your wall's got to be more than a line in the dirt.
yeah.
Otherwise, it does
because
nobody any
because
good.
we do have. I mean, we do have. You think about the border.
There's a line
There's
in the
a
dirt.
line of there's a like a government or a institution, whatever. There's a line there, and some of it's got walls, some of it has a fence, and some of them probably doesn't have anything except maybe where you can actually cross legally through. So there's those those points where you can actually cross, and but even at those places, you have to have a passport, or you have to have citizenship, or or they're guarded. Not just anybody can go through. At least the ones where they're actually enforcing the rules. And so that's how you have to think of your life, or building a life, or building a wall.
And it's built over time,
Yeah.
not just. And you can stop halfway there, but people will just walk over it once they
Yeah.
pass those
Yeah.
boundaries that you have.
Yeah. And then just, some of them are more, I think, I forget whose house. I think it's I forgot whose house. Anyways, but on top of their wall, they have like glass. So that if you go over, it just make it harder. And then some of even the ones that have the fence, they have that wire, the barbed wire on top of it. So I mean, obviously some walls are easier to break down. I know there's a house that my daughter had. They didn't have a wall on the outside, but what the guy did is he built a bunch of or I guess kind of not buried, but he buried a bunch of like steel, so that if anybody crashed, that's what they're gonna hit first. So the you don't, it's not
So it
necessarily
doesn't break down the
it's
wall.
yeah, so it's not, well, he doesn't actually, the walls are actually around the house, but around his yard he put all these big old like steel things, so that if you end up hitting it, you're not going to hit the wall, because it reinforced it by reinforcing it before you hit the wall.
So you gotta have that firm foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it just shows you how important it is,
Just in land.
Yeah.
To have a
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah. And like I said, that it defines, it's we talked about it earlier, and we're probably going to talk a lot about it as we go through stuff. But we talked about just, it's a boundary. It tells the other person where they need to stop.
Yeah.
This is as far as you're going to get, and it also tells you where
Where you need to stop.
Yeah.
In your own life.
Yeah, I mean, it defines your property. It's what belongs to you. That's what it declares. Basically, it tells you, hey, this is my property, and the minute you cross it over, then hopefully there's gonna be issues.
Consequences of some kind.
Yeah, some kind of consequence. So just giving you like a visual is that's what you're supposed to be doing, is building. And every time you make a decision, you're either building a wall or you're taking it down. Yeah. So, and then we also started talking about what does a wall look like for you guys? You guys, not me, okay? Okay.
I think as a teenager, when I was a teenager, walking around as a girl, this is girl specific. I don't know how it would work with guys. As a girl, if I didn't want people talking to me, girls or guys, like if I didn't want you to talk to me, usually when I was at the mall by myself, I would have my earphones in and I wouldn't look happy. That was like, I guess, the first boundary or wall that a random person would hit. Be
Being
like
unapproachable.
Yeah, unapproachable. That was the first thing. Just like, don't talk to me. I have my earphones in. I don't want you in my world right now. Yeah. And I think depending on what kind of face you have though too, like some people just look approachable.
Yeah.
Like what kind of face you have, it's just easier for some than others. Yeah. Some people just look inviting naturally, and some people don't.
I had no walls. there was no boundaries.
Just, I don't know.
Yeah. See, that sounds so simple, but I guess, when you think about looking at somebody that's with their earphones on, you're like, oh, they're not going to hear me anyways if I try, unless I start, waving or something, doing something odd.
There's persistent people out there.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But I mean, I think it worked for the most part, for them. Yeah.
But if they pass that wall and they still have the guts to talk to you, even though you have your earphones in or whatever, yeah, I guess you having the ability to tell them, no, I don't, like they may ask for your number, or they, it's one, you don't have to be a jerk about it, because I know some people are very polite and very, oh, you're very beautiful, blah, 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 blah. Can I have your phone number? You have to have that wall of, no. Sorry, you can be polite first. I always say be polite first. Just, oh, no, I don't give my phone number out, but thank you, though. And then sometimes they still are persistent. Oh, and then you can get your firm no. Sorry, no, more and more. And then I feel like that's where you feel it in yourself you start building that wall of just saying no.
Yeah. No. So no is a wall.
Yeah. Yes. No is that's a brick right there. A good brick right there. No. Saying the word no.
Yeah. Well, then like it turns to brick, I think, when you keep saying no, because sometimes they wear you down.
Yeah, like
And-
Samson.
Yeah, like Samson. Yeah, they wear you down, and eventually you're like, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of weakens your wall right there because you gave in.
Yeah.
You know, because that's happened to me. Because
Yeah.
he was really, somebody came up to me and he was really polite, and I was like, no. He's like, oh, whatever. I don't even remember what he said anymore. But I remember, because he was so nice, I felt bad. I felt bad because he was so nice, and I ended up giving him my number. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me because I don't answer unknown numbers anyway. If you're not saved in my phone, then I'm not gonna talk to you. So, it didn't mean anything to me because I was like, I know if you call me, I'm not gonna answer because I don't know who you are. But for somebody else, you know, it could be a breakdown in their wall, you know. But you know, I broke mine.
Oh, but see, even that though, that's still a good building of a wall. Even just not answering your phone to an unknown number, because at least you had that. So even like you said, even if you called, I don't know who you are, and I'm not gonna answer. You know what I mean? So even just having that.
Yeah.
You
We,
know.
we were sharing stories. I think it was the last night.
Yes.
And I was like, because I guess I would give my number to people, but if they started getting too clingy or they're like being possessive or whatever, it might be because of how I grew up, like seeing my mom with men, that I was like, oh, heck no, I'm not talking to you anymore. Like, you know, just cut you off, block your number. So I would let it get past the point, but then if there was something like too off about you, then I was like, I'm not talking to you anymore. So I had at least somewhat of a wall. I had a walkover wall. And then I get out.
You started building it, and then
Yeah.
it stopped at some point. Yeah.
Was it you that was saying you barked at someone?
Oh, I did not bark at someone. I did not bark at someone, but my coworker did, cause she did. Because it was one of those where at first you're being polite, you're being nice, but you know there are some guys who are very aggressive. Where they don't want to take no for an answer, so she had to go to the extreme and started barking at him, and he did leave her alone because he probably thought that was kind of weird. But it did the job.
Well, I
He
knew
left her alone.
Yeah. I knew someone who would like, if she like saw some guy like staring at her, like she would like just straight up just start picking her nose, and then she'd go like that and fling it at them. Yeah. I'm like, oh. They'd leave her alone. So
Yeah. So there's extremes.
These are girl specific examples. Okay, I don't think guys have to deal with that the same way.
Yeah. I think it'd be different for a guy. We'll have to talk about
We'd
that.
have to talk about
with
it.
a guy, hopefully,
Yeah.
in the future.
How do you say no? How do girls come up to you? Do you bark at them? Well, I mean, there's that. You know, there is that story. There is a story my dad has told. Some guy, he's trying to change from being a door to a wall. You know, he's trying to build his walls. He's in the car. He's at a red light, and some girl pulls up, and she's like, "Hey," you know, and you know she's pretty, she's beautiful, and he's trying to, you know, trying to not look, and she's trying to get his attention. He happened to have a Twinkie in his hand, and he straight chucked it at her and sped through the light. I don't even think it turned green. I think he was just like, nope. So, you know, guys can have extremes too.
imagine you just see this little bread just.
I think she got the hint, right?
Yeah, but it was a no,
It was a no.
and he stuck to it.
Yeah. That's good. And yeah, and that's a good thing. I mean, because I feel like girls need to know, because like I said, we talked about they don't have no boundaries. So, and then one of the things that you guys shared too was about conversations, not letting conversations get past a certain point or a certain topic.
Like,
Yeah.
there are some things you shouldn't talk to other people, especially if they're of the opposite sex. You shouldn't be talking to them about certain stuff.
Yeah. Even if you think, you know, you're just friends.
It crosses, you get emotionally, well, for us,
Yeah.
we get emotionally involved when we start sharing our problems with somebody else, with the opposite sex. Sometimes even the same though,
Yeah.
too. Like when you just start like what did you say for when we were talking about Samson and opening his heart? Oh, yeah. When you open your heart like that about your own problems to somebody else, there's a bond that's created and emotionally, even if you're not in a relationship, it opens that door.
I guess like too, like if like even with like your circle of friends, because this can go like either way. It doesn't have to be relationships. Like if you trust someone with something and then all of a sudden like everybody else knows, it's like oh
yeah. It's like walls aren't just for relationships, like romantic. They're for your friends, for your family. Sometimes, you gotta have those, and you can't open your heart that way to certain people because you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah. And we live in a culture where
everything's
like
just
you put everything's out there, because you talked about maybe somebody wanting your number, but even now, what is it? Your Instagram account, your Facebook, your Snapchat.
You don't even have to talk to them. You could just look at their pictures, like their pictures.
Yeah.
And that's a form of conversation.
Yeah.
If you're liking somebody's pictures at 3 a.m, that is a conversation. Just say you're saying something to the other person. Just let you know.
Yeah. So even that, because that's a big thing right now, is just even that, engaging in that, that you're crossing the line.
Yeah, and even look what you said, even the whole talking in the middle of the night. You don't need to be talking at 3 o'clock in the morning.
sleeping.
When the sun goes down, the conversation needs to end.
This is conversation also.
You're gonna, especially because I know a lot of people, especially when you're in school, you get your phone number from your friends or whatever, and you're texting all day, and then after school, and then in the night, and then all night, and then you get like 2 hours of sleep, and then you see them the next day. Why did you be talking to them that entire time? You're gonna see them literally the next day. I'm like, you don't text your mom, the entire day. You see her all the time. You don't text your siblings like that. So why are you texting them? And I think it's easy for us to excuse that behavior. Oh, we're just friends or whatever. I'm like, if you're not talking to every single person on your phone like that, then obviously you're not just friends.
Not just friends.
Yeah.
When you stop getting those good morning or good night texts and it hurts your
attitude
feelings,
will change real quick.
then there was a little something more than just friendship going on there.
Yeah.
And then there's always the not secluding yourself with that one person all the time, or even like if you're in a group. I remember we had talked about it, a group of friends, secluding yourself with just that person to talk to
you
them.
and that one person always end up in a conversation alone when you're with everybody else. Somehow, some way, you and that one person
Just start talking. And
end
then,
up right next to each other.
Yeah. And then you can tell if you're like that, especially if you're talking to someone and that person, whoever, that guy or girl, whatever, starts coming, and then your attention shifts to them. And then that poor person you were originally talking to feels like they're third wheeling and just slowly just like backs away. So that's when you know that there's a problem there.
With walls. That for some reason you're letting this person in, but not these other people.
Definitely.
Yes.
And I feel like that's probably the hardest thing, I think, to make a wall is with
Conversations.
with this.
Yes.
Oh, the phone.
Because people don't even. I heard somebody say, and you probably heard it. He goes, "We have so many ways of communicating now, but we don't know how to communicate." You don't know how to have a face-to-face conversation with somebody. Your conversations probably, I would say, are on the phone, on, like I said, Instagram and whatever else that you use on social media. And we talked a lot about that, just about how you need to have a face-to-face. I think that helps you build a better wall, because it's easy, I think, with this to just compromise, because there's no accountability. Like you can't, you could block somebody, I guess. Yeah. You could block somebody or do what you did and just not answer phone numbers.
You can hide those conversations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Versus if you're talking in public, people see you guys, and people can walk by and hear exactly what you're saying to each other. Yeah. So it's a little bit less private. Yeah. And therefore you hold yourself a little bit more accountable about what you're going to say, because there's a chance that someone will either see you or hear what you're saying. Yeah. And on the phone, you don't have that.
Yeah. And I think that's where probably a lot of people today that's where I think your walls kind of have to start, because I think that's the major way
I think that's where they start coming down.
where they
is
start.
what it is.
Yeah, that's where I think you start. Yeah, where you start removing
You
those.
start giving your secrets away.
Yeah,
You get
And then-
brave over the phone.
yeah, and that's what really that is what you're doing. You're giving your strength away just by those little, And it seems, you might be listening thinking, that's so extreme, but it's really, that's where it starts. It's those little decisions that you make that are either gonna be good or they're gonna lead to other bigger bad decisions. And we gave that example of Samson. It was slowly just pushing until finally you get to cross over. And that's usually what people are trying to do with you, is they push and push. But if you have a wall there, you can't push a wall. A wall is pretty stable, it's pretty firm, it's strong. So, like we said, it does take time to build a wall, and it takes some,
It takes discipline.
Yes.
It's very hard sometimes.
Well, and then when you build relationships and connections with people, it's easier to trust them and let them kind of break down those walls. Because you trust them. Yeah. So you're going to let them in a little bit easier. Maybe you have a door and you let them in there, and then they start slowly breaking down your wall for you.
But that's what the wall's there for, so that you learn who you can trust and who you can't trust first before you let them in and they take your strength away, you start giving out all your secrets, before they start saying stuff. That's the whole point of the wall, is to stop the hurt before it happens.
And it's like we said, it's a place of protection for you. It's not meant to keep you, from having from being happy or from being.
Yeah, we're not telling you seclude yourself.
Yeah.
Hide behind your wall.
Be alone for the rest of your life.
Because I'm sure there's other people that also want to have those boundaries, but it's kind of scary in school because you're trying to just fit in and kind of make it through life.
Trying to survive.
Trying to survive high school.
But we're gonna have to end it right there. But we just encourage you to start building some walls in your life. Don't be a door. Build some walls in your life. And like I said, it's for your protection. It's for your safety. It's for you, so that nobody comes in and starts polluting your land, which is you. And they don't start messing around with what's yours, so you can, have some good fruit in your life, some good fruit.
And you can start with simple things, like we said, saying no.
Yeah.
Stopping conversations before the day is over, before midnight. It can start with small things, and if you're not sure if the relationships you're getting involved with, friendships or otherwise, are healthy, just think, do they constantly try and push you over certain lines in your life, and be like,
Just
maybe.
even with how they react when you tell them no.
Yeah. If you tell them no, I don't want to do that anymore, and if they get really upset, then maybe that's somebody that you don't really need in your life anymore, or that you need to start backing up from.
Yeah, because they're going to keep pushing.
They're going to keep pushing.
Or on the opposite, they might be like, oh, okay, and actually support you in that decision.
And then you'd be like, all right, this is a good friend.
Yeah, and might actually even help you build that wall with you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, she's not doing that anymore, so leave her alone. Or, hey, she's not that type of girl, don't talk to her. Because I've had that. I didn't know at the time, but they told me that later on in life of, hey, she's not like that, so don't do. Or they'll offer, hey, I'll help you out in this area, but they'll turn to me, but don't you ever ask me to help you out in that area, because I won't. And that's what a good friend is. Maybe not to those other people, but to me, they helped me. Which was helpful for even when I wasn't doing good, even when I didn't want to build those walls, there were help there to help me protect that.
So saying no helps you find who's actually going to support you in building your walls. So it'll help you either way figure out who you should let in and who's going to support you, who you can trust.
And just one last note, maybe I wasn't always building walls for myself, but I did care about others. So there are people like that. So I did have friends that I knew that they were good too. And, I would protect them. But I didn't protect myself, but I would protect them.
So yeah. So we're gonna end it, and we'll see you guys next time. We'll talk more about walls.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Join us for our next podcast. You can contact us through Instagram at podcast412 or email us at 412fight@gmail.com. See you next time.